what I've got over here. Hey everybody. Today we're going to work on details. So I've had a couple people ask, how do I get better details in my crawl? How do I get better details on this, that? A lot of it's in the shading, as far as the way I do it. It's because what they're getting at when they're asking this question is, especially like if you use like a clamshell stencil. It closes on both sides, so you get this nice line, but that's really the only detail you get. Oh, there's some people out there that's wanting to get a little bit deeper detail than that, give it a little bit more realistic 3D look. You can still do that. So that's what this video is going to be. I don't have clamshells. I got kind of a oddball way to make a straight line. So stay tuned. I'll show y'all how to bring a little bit more depth and detail into your crawl. All right. Well, I've already got this one primed, and I'm just going to start with a primer base. It's already nice and dry. I've got my adhesion promoter put on, put a white primer down, and it is a white primer, not white paint. Paint is not primer. But we're going to build on top of that. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to do this just on a white base so that y'all can see kind of what I'm talking about here as far as the shading and everything. You'll see a more dramatic effect of it over white. But I promised y'all straight lines. I do not have a clamshell stencil. Don't even have half of one. And any other stencil I use is going to have somewhat of a shading effect already. So we need to get straight lines on this thing doing shells. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to see my hack job at drawing a crawl. If I can make it stay focused. So let's see here. Let's come up. So we'll come kind of like through here. We'll leave this alone. So because I don't like straight crawl shells. I like them to be a little tethered, a little worn. Yeah, because there's so much gill detail there. We'll leave that alone there. So we're going to do it kind of weird here. We might not use that at all. It might just all be up here. But, like I said, I've not done this before. So, this is definitely just kind of me having fun. But what better way than an absolute straight line to show y'all a good way on how to bring life to a straight line. Because that's a lot of it. Is a lot of people are challenged by getting their details because their stencil or their piece of paper they've cut out or whatever they're using to make their crawl shell is giving them a straight line. And you'll have an effect kind of like this, where, you know, you got a good crawl. I mean, you got the shell details. They're definitely broken from each other. You know, you got your steps. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and as well let's bring in some belly details as well. Let's go ahead and really make this fun and interesting, because I'm pretty sure I can pull it off. But let's find out. Can I do it? All right, there we go. So now we have our shells. Which way did I have that on there? Yeah, I'm slightly OCD. Just gotta go back on the way it come off. All right, so there are our shells. We'll put the marker back up. Now we're going to bring this to life, and we're simply going to do it by shading. Shading is a big deal. So I'm going to use just a simple base black. I'm going to get that in my airbrush. I will thin it just a little bit, especially when you're doing shade work to get depth on your stencils. Don't get it super, super thin, but definitely thin your black paint just a little bit. That way it's still strong, but not super strong. And if you have a transparent black, this would be a good time to put it in your airbrush, because transparent black makes a really good shade black to add depth to your details. So let's get that all mixed together here. All right, let me get my mask up and turn the booth on. Hopefully y'all can hear me still yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by first traveling along that line, kind of making it a little less sharp than what it is, and then we'll feather out lightly, creating some depth. the same along the bottom of the top shells. I gotta steady my hand. Remember to keep your darker parts of the shade closer to the line. And then once you get that, feather it out a little bit. Thing on the other side. Belly. Can't forget about the belly. And remember, you don't have to be doing this with black. You could have this thing colored up already and have your details on it. It just needs to be a darker shade of the color that's already there. Alright, so we're done with the black. We are going to go ahead and put some color on it because I want y'all to see a good idea of what this is going to turn into. Now obviously if I didn't have a white base, it would look a lot better than what it does. You know, if this had color and stuff like that on already, your stencil work would definitely pop out because you're not, for one, you're not using a marker. You got a much bolder line. And with that bolder line, I mean, you can see how the marker kind of gets lost. Well, with your bolder line that you'd be using with like a clamshell or something, it would be a lot easier to see what's going on with the effects. You'd still have your details of your stencil. This is mainly so y'all can just see the effects of how I go about it. This isn't the end-all do-all. This is just the way I do it. There's numerous different ways to get depth out of your stencils and stuff like that. The big thing is just learning how to shade. Use your shading techniques. You know, crawl shells are stacked on top of each other, so you need to shade the way they're stacked. You wouldn't shade on this side because they don't stack from the tail forward, they stack from the head back. So they go, you know, like this. And as things stack on top of each other, as you see there in my hand, you got shadows. Well, that's what we're mimicking here. It might be exaggerated, but that's what we're mimicking. Alright, so let's go down with, let's see here. Let's do a pagan gold. We'll do a pagan gold candy, which is pretty much like a harvest gold type color. And we're going to do the whole lure in it, because then we're going to build on top of that. So now we have a pagan gold candy base. Let's go in with, get that sprayed out, what's left. On the belly, I think we're going to go with a red fiery orange color. These are transparent type paints. That's why you don't see it covering everything, and I am working this darker color along the black shaded areas. Because on a transparent type paint, going over black, it will seem darker. You have to excuse my shaking. I'm real shaky today. Now, like I said, your stencil lines will be a lot bolder on a clamshell or something like that than what I got here. If I had a clamshell, I'd have used it. I will say that. Let's go in. We're not even going to spray that color out. We're going to put a sepia right on top of that orange. Hold on, I gotta check my puppy. I hear him doing something in the hallway. What are you doing? Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. We'll have to edit that out. Alright. So, back to what we were doing. Like I said, we're going to be putting a sepia on top of this. Working from the shade out. Putting just a little bit more color in the darker areas of the shade. Camera off. I think it might have a smudge. It sure seems like it's being a little weird. Let me see. I might have some gloss medium around here, or some matte medium around here. I'll get that sprayed on there in just a second to kind of knock some of that shine down. Let me run this paint out of my brush. Like I said, it's real simple to do this. It's not real hard. It's just a matter of getting your paints thin enough to be able to shade, using transparent type colors, or candies if you want to, but transparent colors definitely do better. Got that ran out. Drop my mask now. I don't like wearing it, but safety first, y'all. Alright, give me just a second, y'all. Go ahead and stare at it some more. I'll be right back with hopefully some matte varnish. Found it first drawer. Awesome. Now, like I said, I'm just putting this stuff on here to take that sunlight glare off so y'all can see it better. It's not something I normally use a lot of. Let me see how thin is it. That ought to work. That ought to spray fine. If not, we'll always thought it should have, and we'll just regroup and try it again. I don't know how matte this will go, but if it will knock down at least some of the shine, it will help. Alright, we're going to let that dry. Once it dries, we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back. Like I said before, if you was using a clamshell, you'd have more defined lines than what I got going on here. I mean, you aren't going to have little bitty marker size lines, for the most part. And even if you did, they'd be more bold, they'd be stronger. They just would. I can't explain why, they just would. But you see how the shading alone makes it look like that shell's on top of this one one's on top of this one, this one's on top of this one. And then you can add like modeling, cracked details, you know, any kind of little shell life and texture you want to add in there. And then these shells are obviously on top of the, you know, what's on the belly. And then the belly has a faint, you know, resemblance of, you can tell that it crinkles this way. You know, this shell's on top of this one's on top of this one, that one's on top of that one. Don't worry about that. That's just where it has some runs with the varnish. I can make that go away later on. I usually don't use that varnish, so it was, yeah, wound up being just a little thinner than I expected it to be. But that's what we got going on. That's how you do it. So to recap, figure out which direction your pattern is, whether it's a crawl or anything else. When you do your first shading, go ahead and shade the 90% that you're wanting to shade. And it needs to be a transparent or a semi-transparent color. And then bring your shade line in about half of that and get it a little bit darker. And then if you got really good trigger control, you can come right up against your stencil line and get it good and dark following your line and still leaving your stencil detail. And then when you come back in, You can use if you're using black, you can take a darker version of the color that's on the bottom, or a transition color, or anything. It needs to just another color. And if it's a transparent or semi-transparent, you can come over your shading that you did with the black, and it will help pick up the dark effect and have this color transition where, even though that's black underneath there, because of the color sprayed on top of the black, it looks like it's this color but deeper as it goes in. So that's how we do it. If y'all enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell notification, share it to your friends, tell people about me. We're right now about 224 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope to see this channel grow some more. If y'all have any ideas, any input, any questions, comments, questions, or concerns, put them in the chat area down there, or the comment section, whatever you want to call it. I do try and read every one of them as much as I can. So far, I think I managed to do that, and to respond back to all of them as well. But I do appreciate all y'all for watching my videos. If anyone has any other, just anything you want to say, put it in the comments. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna get mad. And if you're having trouble or struggling with something you're doing, and you're a fellow painter, reach out. Let me know. We'll try and figure it out together. And if I know how to do it, I can do a video showing you hands-on how I do it. Now, the way I do things, like I've always said, is not the end-all be-all. This is just how I do it. So, love y'all. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. We'll catch y'all later.